me home. My first mother felt she had to let me go. Right from the start, felt like I was your own.
Don't worry about me, I'll get along. Forget about me, be happy, my love.
I'm shooting at 35 millimeters because I wanted to get some compression. And I'm up here in Rhinebeck, New York at the train station. You can see the train tracks right here. And I'm hoping that the autofocus works, so we'll see what happens. If it doesn't work, then you'll never get to see this video and I'll shoot it a different way. But I like taking chances like this to see how this stuff works. So, this is another story about my mother. And this is an amazing story. Like this was a real life thing for me. So, when my mother passed away, I think it was 2003. I know it was 2003. I was devastated. It was really, really hard for me because you see, when my mother passed, that was like the last remnants of my adoptive family, which, you know, I always considered that these people saved my life pretty much. And so everybody was gone. I didn't have any relationship with any cousins or uncles or aunts or anything like that. So I was pretty much like, I felt like I was a foster child again. You know, it was kind of weird. And a lot of bad things had happened in my life right at that time. A lot of things just fell apart. And I was making some transitions. But what I was doing at that moment of my life was I was working on an album. And this album was called Broke Wide Open. And this album eventually changed my life. And although it was the best work that I've ever done musically, it pushed me out of the music business. It pushed me into the theater world. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But I was working on this album, and when I did it, I decided that I wanted this to be completely organic. Like, I played everything myself. I actually did things like, I put bass strings on my guitar, which I kind of ruined my guitar doing that. But I did everything myself. I played everything. I did all the vocals, all the background vocals. I played all the instruments. I did all the writing, the arranging, everything. It was a self-made project. It was a kind of a life-affirming project for me, an art-affirming project. It was something that I just needed to do, you know, to get it out of my body. It was very personal material. It was, in my mind, the best work that I had ever done musically. And I also decided that with regards to the vocals, I was going to do each one of these lead vocals one time. Like I would, you know, mess with them and write them and stuff like that, but I would record them once. No going in and fixing anything, no, you know, redoing one line or something like that, no auto-tune, nothing like that. So every lead vocal on that album is the first time that I had ever actually sang that song all the way through. So it was kind of a deep thing for me because, you know, if you're a vocalist, if you're a professional singer in the music business, you know, there's a lot of competition. You're always trying to make everything sound perfect. People often do things one line at a time. I just didn't want to do anything like that. I wanted it to be who I was in that moment, like genuine. And also, if the light is changing on and off here, it's because obviously I'm standing outside, it's going in and out of clouds and things like that. So anyway, back to the song. I recorded everything live, like I said, you know, which means that I used string instruments. You know, not everything was MIDI, which means that it was like not perfect pitch. I guess that's the best way I could describe it. Now, my friend Lisa, who's a phenomenally gifted singer, like, you know, some people would call her a unicorn. You know, like she could do things that nobody else could do. She's an amazing, gifted background vocalist. She's a great recording artist in her own right, a lead singer, a writer. She's everything. She's amazing. But what's really kind of astounding about her, which is not her fault, or, you know, it's nothing that she worked hard for, is she has perfect pitch, which means that she knows what A440 sounds like. Like, she knows what the actual tone should be in terms of the universe. Like, you know, what a piano should sound like when it's tuned properly. Because, you know, sometimes if you're playing the guitar, it might be in relative pitch to, you know, it might sound like it's in tune to you, but it might not be in tune to A440. A440 is the tone that the note A should be. Like if you're using a tuning fork or something like that. So anyway, Lisa has perfect pitch, and I remember a long time ago, she shared with me that it's kind of annoying sometimes because, like, you know, sometimes pianos fall out of tune, and if a piano is out of tune and she's doing a vocal or something like that, she once shared with me that it literally would give her a headache. Like she needed things to be in tune properly. So, what happened is this. What does my mother have to do with any of this? I recorded the track to a song that I wrote about my mother on my album, Broke Wide Open. It was called Song for My Mother. And it was a very, very personal, vulnerable, revealing kind of song. And so I did everything. I put the lead vocal down. I put all the background vocals down. I added guitars. I added like strings, like all kinds of cool stuff. So obviously it was a completed track. Now, rewind to when my mother was still alive. Towards the very, very end of her life, you know, I was taking care of her. She was living in my house. And so she was getting progressively sicker and sicker at the end of her life. It turned out that she had a horrible bone infection after going through like hell for a year and a half and finally starting to get better. This bone infection came back and it was like the end of her. But anyway, she got really, really sick at my house. We decided I just can't take care of her anymore. So I was driving her to the hospital. Now, this was really, really heavy because we both knew that if it got to the point where I had to take her back to the hospital, that was probably going to be the last time that we would ever be together. You know, she was probably going to pass. If I had to bring her to the hospital, we thought she would probably never get out. We both felt that way. Even though it was kind of unspoken, you could feel the energy in the car. You know, I had to carry her into the car. That's how bad she was. And so anyway, we were driving to the hospital and I was obviously very depressed. My mother wasn't feeling too great either, but my mom, who always was trying to make everybody smile and laugh and joking around, and she was funny. I mean, she looked at me and she could tell like I was fucked up, you know? And so she started singing. And you know, she was like joking around singing this crazy song. And the lyrics were, "Don't worry about me, I'll get along. Don't worry about me, be happy, my love." And you know, I thought to myself while I'm driving her, I'm like, yo, you know what? This might be the last time I ever hear my mother's voice. Like it might be the last time I ever hear her sing or anything. And so I pulled out my cell phone, I hit record, and I recorded her singing on the way to the hospital. All right, that was in 2003. I was putting down the vocals on Broke Wide Open at the very, very end of 2006, maybe the beginning of 2007, so it was 3 or 4 years later. That's how sad I was still like not over this 3 years later. But anyway, I'm putting the vocal down. It was actually in 2006 when I did the vocals. And it occurred to me when I was about to mix the song, I was like, damn, maybe I should drop that vocal into this track and see what it sounds like. You know, that might be cool, like a cool intro or something like that. Or maybe I could find somewhere to include this in the track. And so I find that cell phone because I was like 2 cell phones later already. I found the cell phone, I turned it on, you know, I had to charge it up, it still worked. I found the vocal, I recorded it over the mic, you know, into my Logic Pro, which is the program I was using to do audio, to record my album on. And I dropped my mother's vocal into this track. And believe it or not, her singing that song, she was singing in the same key that I had recorded this song in. Which, if you're a musician, you know how absolutely unbelievable that is. And if you're not a musician, I'm telling you, it is astounding. It's crazy. It's impossible. you know, it's amazing that she was singing in any key, let alone, you know, a real key, but let alone the same key as a song that I had just recorded years later. Like, I dropped into the track and it was like I created the song around her vocal. And so I was able to create like a beautiful little string arrangement around her, and I used it as the intro to the song and then the outro at the very end. And it was beautiful, you know, and it, you know, honestly, it just, when it happened, it made me sob, you know. I mean, I felt, you know, I don't know, it sounds stupid or ridiculous or whatever, but it made me feel like she was watching over me, or she visited me, or however you want to look at it. You know, it just really, it really did feel like that. And, but that's something that happened in my life. So Broke Wide Open eventually became a play, pushed me into the theater world. Was probably the greatest, most important project that I've ever done, because it impacted my life in a really profound way, in a tangible way. And as an artist, that's what we want, you know, that's what we're looking for. To feel something, to be affected. We're trying to affect other people, we're trying to share, and when we get something from that as well, it is like the best nutrition you could possibly imagine. You know, it's like, in my case, it's like 5 million ounces of wheatgrass juice, you know? So anyway, may my mother rest in peace, Phyllis Wilk. It's amazing. Yes, the voice you're gonna hear in this video is my mother's voice from that song. Yes, that's the song. And thank you so much for watching and listening. I believe this is episode 23 of Stories in 4K. And we only have a couple more weeks of these, and then I'm gonna focus on my film. So yeah, up here in Rhinebeck, New York, I love it here so much. I found a place that was private so I could just do this and not bother anybody and not be hassled with anything. And we got lucky because the train didn't go by while I was doing this. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, because I'm doing 2 of these a week. All right, stay well, be well, take care of one another. Peace.
I swear to God, you should have known her. I can't get through to my sister or my brother, 'cause they won't speak to one another.
Our little fair is over, and so the story goes. Da 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 da. We'll still be friends.